Well, here it is. The first raw, unedited gameplay for MLB The Show 26. And we got a better glimpse at how the new game is going to look and how it's going to play. I know a lot of people weren't enamored with the trailer. I had some criticisms too. I think this is more promising, however, so let's talk about it. Leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel. Let's just get into it, because we've got a lot to talk about. There's honestly a good bit that they added this year, even if at face value it looks pretty much the same. If it wasn't for this little billboard saying MLB The Show 26, you might mistake it for 25 or 24 or 23. Again, it looks like it did last year, and yeah, it doesn't exactly resemble a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X game. To me, that isn't the most important thing. It's whether or not the game is fun, but it should look better, simply put. The cutscenes look terrible. You have this exterior shot of Yankee Stadium. Not really a better way to put it. It's ugly looking. But while visually the game didn't change much, I think the actual gameplay experience and how you're going to approach playing the game changed quite a bit. We'll start with bear down pitching, which they showcased, and we were all very intrigued. And it's about what we thought it was. It's going to give you the ability to have slightly increased velocity and slightly increased control on a pitch when you use this bear down pitching feature. Now you notice you get to store up as many as 3 pitches that you have to use situationally. And you can re-earn these pitches throughout a pitcher's appearance. That's re-earned by having success, getting strikeouts, getting outs. And it's scaled based on your clutch rating. The higher clutch rating your pitcher has, the faster he's going to regain these bear down pitches. I think it's a cool feature. I think pitching needed a buff. I'm excited for it, but I've got to get my hands on and try it. They show some clips, specifically Max Fried, and they mentioned a little increase in velocity. He's only throwing 97, so it's not something that's going to be overpowered. You're not going to go from throwing 90 to throwing 100, maybe an extra tick or two. It doesn't guarantee exactly where you set up. Again, you notice this. It does move a little bit from where Fried set up. I think it's a good add. It's not going to guarantee you a strikeout or anything, which I think is a good thing. It makes it not overpowered, but it will deliver you a better pitch, and it adds more strategy for you to choose when to use them. Now, stepping up to the plate, they introduced big zone hitting, which I think is a huge addition for more casual players of the game. You're essentially choosing a quadrant or portion of the strike zone where you're aiming, but it is not nearly as precise as the traditional PCI or zone hitting. Further, it is not possible to get a perfect input using big zone hitting, which immediately makes me think this is not a setting for people who are pretty accustomed to playing the game, as that takes out the best possible input. A perfect guarantees you some of the highest exit velocity and very ideal hit types. What big zone hitting does is help bridge the gap to more learning players. If the ball is in the portion of the zone you're identifying, you're going to have solid contact, but there's a lot of variance as it is such a big area. It's very hard to guarantee fly balls or ground balls or any type of specific direction. Like I said, I think it's a very cool feature for people who might not play the game all the time, because this is a very difficult game to pick up and play, as opposed to a Madden or NBA 2K. It's tough. The learning curve is pretty vast, but this isn't real. It's not going to be the new meta. But that's not all. They added another type of hitting, that being fixed zone hitting. This is having your PCI stay put exactly where you left it, as opposed to it snapping back to the center as it normally would, or with the PCI anchor snapping to wherever you had anchored. Not groundbreaking, not game-changing, but it might help specific people hit better. This is a big one. PCI sensitivity, a sliding scale that allows you to choose how fast or slow, how much force is required from your analog stick to move your PCI. I've talked about this a bit already. This is a precision ring made by Control Freaks. Very popular in the MLB community. You put this on the analog stick and it makes it so it requires more force to actually move the analog stick. Essentially lowers the sensitivity, makes it more difficult to just drop your PCI to the depths of hell. This could make the product kind of obsolete. So if you were put money into the stock market on Control Freaks, that might not be the nest egg you thought it would be. I think this is an awesome feature which is sure to have tons of people playing around with to find their ideal sensitivity. Now what's interesting, they did not showcase within their feature premiere today, these settings are also available for pitching. You also have a sensitivity slider for how fast you can move the ball around your pitch selection screen. And you notice this for pitching. There's now an option to exclusively pitch out of the stretch if you so choose, which could of course make games a lot faster. A pretty cool new addition to help speed things up. Talking about PCI anchor, that is still in the game, and now they've added the option to mirror your anchor. So if you have it set up and in for a righty, you can have that reflect to automatically input with a lefty or a switch hitter batting from the left-handed box. This is a big one. If you play the game a lot, you know. That being the new hitting depth of field option, which essentially blurs out everything but the strike zone and the incoming pitch. And why that is such a big deal is so many stadiums you run into instances where there's a sign that's white that blends in with the baseball, or you've got a fan wearing a white t-shirt, anything that causes you to not perceive the ball out of the hand as you're taught as a baseball player. This would happen in many stadiums. Target field. The sun coming in would make it very difficult to pick up and read the pitches as they're coming in. This is something that's going to go under the radar for a lot of people. This isn't back of the box news or anything, but this is going to make hitting for so many people way easier. But the quality of life changes are not over there. The R2 spam is done. No longer when you're playing another player online will holding down R2 prevent you from throwing a pitch. Thank God. I can't believe it took this long. It seemed like a simple fix, but man, this is gonna really cut out a lot of the BS from people trying to annoy you online. And lastly, we got this setting, which allows you to have a custom look at the pitch history. They didn't really showcase exactly how this is going to look, but it should help your strategy a little bit to get a better picture at what your opponent is trying to do. The automated ball strike challenge system, implemented into Major League Baseball starting this year, is also in MLB The Show, as you now have the opportunity to challenge calls. Just like in real life, you get 2 opportunities a game. If your challenge is correct, the call is of course reversed and you get to maintain that challenge. This is an offline exclusive feature, but I think it's going to be pretty cool and help reflect the new rule being put into Major League Baseball. They've also added in the pitch com, which was kind of in the game already, but it's been relabeled as pitch com. You can have the computer suggest where you might throw a pitch, and you can even have it say it to. You can choose to have the audio come out of your TV or your controller speaker.
Sinker. Low inside.
This year, MLB The Show really overhauled everything when it comes to the attribute system. Pitchers will now have specific ratings for their hit per 9 and their strikeout per 9 based on handedness versus righties and versus lefties, much like how batters have the contact and power versus righties and lefties respectively. And this is pretty big because you're going to have some large disparities in pitchers that are specifically good against pitching against right-handed batters or left-handed batters. Before it was essentially an average of the two. Now you're going to have pitchers that really struggle or really excel against specific sides. Adds a ton of strategy and realism to the game. But that is not all, because they've also eliminated the walks per 9 attribute. Previously, the walk per 9 attribute is actually what determined control. Your individual pitch control had no bearings on anything. It could have been 99, could have been 20. It was your walks per 9, which didn't really make sense, caused a lot of confusion, and this should make it a lot more clear for the player. I mean, it makes sense. You're going to throw some pitches better than others. They should have individual ratings. And I think this could allow for certain pitches like curveballs with specific pitchers to be much better. They have also reordered every pitcher's repertoire based on how often they use those pitches in real life. And the number one, the primary pitch, is going to have an accuracy boost as opposed to the 5th pitch. So the perfect accuracy region, that shaded circle representing where a perfect pitch could go. 3 things control that. Control for each individual pitch, your velocity, and the ranking of where that pitch falls in your order. Defense had a lot of changes this year. The reaction stat has been split directionally. Forwards, backwards, to the left, and to the right. For all infielders and outfielders, they're now going to have 4 different ratings for their reaction. It puts the tactics in the hands of the player and forces you to make decisions. For example, if you've got a shortstop that excels moving to his left, you could probably make do with the second baseman that's not as effective as moving to his right. Overall, this is going to put a higher value on defensive ratings, which I think this game is desperately needed for a long time. Defensive ratings should matter, and they will even more so now for catchers. Pop time, which of course used to be a quirk that was only given to very few players, is now a sliding scale attribute. From 0 to 99. You see JT Realmuto at 97. He's going to get the ball out extremely quick when runners try and attempt to steal. I think it's a great idea. Pop time is an inherent ability. It doesn't make sense that you have it or you don't. It's like anything else. It should be a sliding scale, and I think this is going to definitely change how you look at catcher defense. And generally looking at all these player cards, you'll notice the UI looks more concise as it focuses on what truly matters. Specifically within Diamond Dynasty, they've removed all simulation stats that don't actually affect gameplay. For example, durability, which of course in franchise measures how likely a player is to get injured, doesn't have any bearing in Diamond Dynasty where injuries are turned off, and this no longer is going to affect or inflate the overalls of cards. Again, thank God. Long time coming, but thank you. Now this I'm not too excited about. PCI shrinkage is back, and they talked about the rationale for it. Now PCI shrinkage, what is it? It's when you have a pitcher and a hitter of the same handedness. So let's say a right-handed pitcher, right-handed batter. When you're throwing sliders away, it will shrink your PCI, whereas that doesn't happen in any other occasion. Once again, they reaffirm their belief it's a tough pitch to hit in real life. It should be tough in the game. Yeah, true. So's a 104-mile-an-hour fastball. The PCI in the game doesn't shrink on that. I just disagree with the choice. The problem is with this shrinkage is it causes people to stray away from right-handed batters, left-handed batters, and they use switch hitters because they receive no penalty. You can't throw an away slider to them because a slider would be coming in. And a backdoor slider doesn't shrink their PCI. And what's annoying about it is it gives them, San Diego Studios, the opportunity to put the switch hitters within Diamond Dynasty up on a pedestal. They can market those as the most desirable because they are. Switch hitters are just better. They don't receive that penalty, whereas you could as a righty if you face a right-handed pitcher. So you can have Chipper Jones as the chase pack card and he be that much more enticing. I think it sucks. I think it's really boring to play games and it just be a full team of switch hitters you're facing, which is what results when the shrinkage is in the game. So yeah, don't like that. All right, positive note. Co-op. They made some pretty cool additions here. You've now got the flexibility to choose when you are going to hit. It used to be you just trade off. If you're playing 2v2, I hit, then you hit. Now I can hit 3 times in a row, and then you hit 3 times in a row. Likewise, for pitching, we can switch off every batter if you so choose. I think it's great. Allows more flexibility. Again, if you're playing with your friend or someone that you play with often, you know their strengths. Me personally, I feel like I'm better when I get multiple at-bats in a row. I'm more locked in, whereas if I hit once and then Fred hits and then John hits, then it's me again. Kind of out of it a little bit, especially if we're enjoying a beer. So I like it. I think this is cool. Just make it work, right? Make servers work. That'd be a big step. Also, co-op. Quick tangent. You've got to add in casual co-op. There's no reason why me and Fred shouldn't be able to go queue up against my other friends, John and Bartholomew. I get you can't have it in ranked co-op for boosting purposes. What about for fun purposes? And finally, not gameplay related, but they revealed Virginia and Wake Forest as 2 brand new colleges that are going to be accessible within Road to the Show. I think we got it all. I think that's it. A lot better than the trailer. I think there's a lot of things, if you play this game, you're really going to notice and really enjoy. Big quality of life changes, like the hitting field of depth. I think that's a major thing that solves a huge pain point of instances where the ball blurs. The PCI sensitivity, the new fixed zone hitting. I think there's a lot of things here that's going to make the game a lot more enjoyable to play. I'm interested to see how the bear down pitching is going to work. For example, I think the changes within ratings is also going to add a lot more strategy within the game. It's still baseball. They didn't reinvent the wheel. Again, the graphics, it looks a lot like MLB 25 or 24. I've used that joke too many times, but it's true. But I think when you actually play the game, these are going to prove substantial changes. You got to see the features. Franchise, Road to the Show, Diamond Dynasty. Is there a meaningful update that would cause a franchise primary player to buy this game over just playing last year and updating the rosters? That remains to be seen. Like I said, back of the box stuff, they don't really have a lot to market, so we'll see if there's some more surprises like today that we didn't know of prior that proved to be pretty big changes. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, we'll talk about it once we get there. But thank you guys so much for watching this one. Leave a like down below if you guys did enjoy. I'll catch you guys next time.